that's what, really drives me, because, these cases, they still mean, they mean something to me, because, you're dealing with, people, someone's, lost their life, someone's loved one is gone. So, we have to try to make that right in some ways. That void, we can't replace, what was lost, but we can help those people just find some closure.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. What up, Black and Blue fam? Welcome to this edition of the Black and Blue Podcast, where we celebrate diversity in U.S. law enforcement. If you don't know me by now, my name is Dale, and I'm the host. And if you do know me already, hey, I want to thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. I got something real special for you here today, but before we get started, let me ask you, please click those like, subscribe, and bell icons right down here on my YouTube channel. And if you listen to me on your favorite podcast platform of choice, make sure you rate the Black and Blue Podcast 5 stars. And finally, make sure you check me out on any one of my social media pages for even more content. You can find me everywhere at Black and Blue US. All right, so with that out the way, hey, let's jump right into it. My guest today is a supervising investigator for the District Attorney's Office out here in Southern California. And he's here to tell us all about the job and exactly what a DA investigator does. So come on, y'all. Let's give a warm Black and Blue Podcast welcome to Riverside County DA's investigator, Anthony Johnson. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. How's your today's Monday? How's your Monday shaping out?
Well, it's shaping out really good because, it's a holiday. So, didn't have to go in today. So, it's working out really good. So, I have no complaints.
No complaints. Yes. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, Monday, today is a holiday. It's what? President's Day. One of those presidents, Lincoln, Washington, both of them combined. I think it's the combined, right?
I think so. I don't know what's going on anymore because last week was a holiday also, and actually I wound up going to work that day, and I'm like, there's nobody here. So that was crazy.
Cool. So I mentioned there in the intro that you are a supervising investigator. It says though right there on your lower third title right there. What exactly is a DA's investigator, and what's their role in law enforcement?
Basically, once a case is submitted, obviously, from whether it's the police department or the sheriff's department, once that case has been submitted, then that case becomes ours within the DA's office. So as opposed to if there's like some additional follow-up that needs to be done on a particular investigation, as opposed to kicking it back to the controlling agency, our investigators will go out and do those things, whether it's writing additional search warrants, because typically that's the one thing that we'll see most often is say, an agency took a bunch of cell phones, but no one downloaded them, or there was a potential witness that was mentioned in one report, but nobody interviewed them. So we'll go back out and just do those that follow-up investigation, and just to solidify a criminal case.
Okay, so you work closely with the assistant DAs, helping to prosecute cases.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because within my unit, I'm in the major crimes unit, which encompasses the homicide unit as well as the gang unit. So, and our my investigators actually have a 1-to-1 ratio with their assigned attorney. So they're just assigned to one particular attorney. So they have a very close working relationship, and they're able to go over and review cases. Um, and just really really solidify those cases for our prosecution later on, because typically the homicide cases, there's not a whole lot that any additional investigation that we'd have to do, because those cases come in, they are solid. It's usually just a matter of just trying to track down uncooperative witnesses. Sometimes those witnesses have started to get threats from suspects. So then we have to work on getting those people relocated, and we've done several of those relocations this past year. We actually had a couple that took us clear across the country with our unit. So just to ensure that these people are safe and ensure that they return for trial. So it's a
Okay.
lot of logistics to it.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like it. Sounds like it. And just for our listeners and our viewers, where exactly is Riverside County in relation to the rest of Southern California?
Well, it is south of Los Angeles County, and just north of San Diego. So we kind of sit like they're right in the middle, and then we catch a little piece of San Bernardino County. So yeah, we're just that little strip right in the middle. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And some of the big cities in Riverside County, some of the more prominent cities are.
Yeah, within Riverside County, obviously, we have the city of Riverside, Moreno Valley, we have Corona, East Vale. Then, if you go down to the desert, you have Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, cities of that nature, Palm Springs. So, we encompass all the way, and then we actually go all the way out to the Colorado River area, to Colorado River, or it's known as Blythe. So it's
Yeah.
like right on the border of California and Arizona. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty long county.
Yep. Yep. And one of my favorite cities is in Riverside County, Temecula. We like going down there to the vineyards and to the casino and all that, the restaurants and all that. That's good time over there.
Oh yeah, it's a really really nice place down there.
Absolutely. And how big is it a certain different bureau in the DA's office, and how large is that bureau as far as how many investigators there are?
Well, in the entire bureau, we're authorized for 130 investigators, and we're spread between the main office in downtown Riverside, where I'm assigned. Then we also have our satellite offices in Banning, then also in the southwest area. So down there, actually by Temecula, Menifee,
Mm.
Murrieta area, and then our office out in Indio that covers the desert. And then we actually even have a office even further in at the Colorado in Blythe, to cover that area. And then we actually just have one investigator that's assigned out there. So he kind of bounces between Indio and Blythe. So
Yeah.
so we can try to get it all covered.
Cool. Cool. And the DA's investigators are fully sworn peace officers, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we can still have the same powers of arrest. We can go out and once we can serve subpoenas, or I'm sorry, not subpoenas, but search warrants. And actually, we do have an active like street team, our gang impact team. They're out there doing some amazing work. Just actually locating some higher profile murder suspects. We also have our fugitive apprehension unit. Again, they're out there working there alongside the U.S. Marshals and other federal agencies. Then we also have our RSET folks that are out there dealing with the those sexual predators that are out there, and they're doing an amazing job out there. So, but for the most part, most of us, are in the office, and we'll handle the back end stuff with the investigations. But we do have units that are out there on the street doing, handling business.
Cool. How long you been there?
I've just been with the DA's office now, actually just 3 years. I just hit my 3 year
Oh.
mark. So yeah, I've only been there 3, but before that, I was with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, where I was for
Mm.
18 years.
Okay.
And then prior to that, my first experience in law enforcement, I actually worked for the city of Inglewood. I was a police officer there for about 4 years before lateraling over to the sheriff's department. So, I kind of jumped around a little bit, but yeah, this
Yeah.
is going to be my last stop.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Why'd you make the jump from the sheriff's department over to the DA's office?
Um, you know, I truly enjoyed my time at the sheriff's department. Had the opportunity to work a lot of assignments. Spent the bulk of my career there, within the gang unit, working narcotics. Um, and, once I promoted and, I, worked in IA for a little bit. And then I went over to the central homicide unit as my last assignment. And, I just got to the point in my career. It's like, okay, I've done everything I want to do here. And there's this other entity over here that I know a lot of the people that have that worked at the DA's office. I've been on task forces with several of these guys, and I heard nothing but good things.
Yeah.
So, I was just looking at, it's like, what, I was at a point in my career. It's like, what, my family sacrificed a lot throughout my career. Um, my wife, I love her to death. She was there in my corner the whole time. My kids were there, and I just really sat down and I looked. It's like, man, there's a lot that I missed, and it's like, I need a break. And I didn't
Mhm.
realize I was kind of running on fumes, and the opportunity presented itself, and I jumped on it and came over, and I don't regret it at all. It was probably the one of the best decisions I've made.
Yeah. Okay. So it was more of a choice of, kind of slowing down uh, a little bit, because you said, you are in, a major crimes unit there. Did you come over as a supervisor, or did you promote up when you got over there too?
Yeah, no, I just promoted up, and actually
Okay.
I was just very very fortunate. I came in as a senior investigator, just like everyone else, and then after about a year or so, there was a testing come around. You can promote to the rank of senior investigator 2, and then beyond that, senior investigator 3. I tested for 2, tested, placed very well, got that, and then the flyer came out for, or the memo came out for supervising investigators. Like, it's like, yeah, that's where I want to get to. And I tested, and again, I tested well, and and I was selected. So been very very fortunate.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So let me ask you, since you came over with experience already, and speaking with other investigators from other DA's offices, around in Southern California, and even a couple other states as well. Do you find that your office is mostly from laterals, people with experience already, or do you guys hire, entry level positions?
No, all of our investigators, they do come from another agency. They're all considered laterals. What we have done lately is that our bureau is actually getting much younger, because usually um, the average time on the job, the average is about 15 years that most of the investigators would have. But now we're starting to get folks that have 10, 8 years as a police officer, and we actually started bringing people in as opposed to a senior investigator, bring them in as a DA investigator, which you're essentially doing the same job, but it's just at a you're just paid at a lower rate. Um, and then after about a year or so, after you get your feet under you, and start doing some of the other more advanced investigations, then they'll be promoted to the rank of senior investigator. But typically, uh, you know, most of the folks that we get are either mid-career, and then we also still have a few people that are actually double dibbies that have retired from another agency and come over.
Yes.
So we still have a few of those folks that are around as well.
Exactly. Yeah, is something that you guys can look into. A few years back, I had to go to an FTO update class, and after I came out of a special assignment, and then there was a San Bernardino investigator in there in the FTO class, and I was asking him, FTO, what do you guys, what are you here for? And he said, over there in San Bernardino County, they started hiring entry level DA's investigators. So they needed some FTOs, to kind of train them up and all that. So, because it's kind of tough, I guess, to get officers from, peace officers from all agencies nowadays. So that's something that they started looking at.
Oh wow, no, I did not know that. Because I know, yeah, we have a training program, but it's not, you're not like on training, like, when we started in law enforcement, where it was
Yeah.
like, very, very intense. It's not like that. It's more of just an onboarding. It's like, hey, here's where you go to get this form. This is where this office is. This is who you need to go talk to. Everyone's treated like an adult. It's no,
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, wait out at the car while I, while I'm up here, having lunch or anything. It's none of that
Yeah,
going on.
You remember that.
Oh yes, very, very, very vividly.
Yeah. Yeah, stop in the middle of the night. Where are we? Sort of thing. Look at this, don't look at the street signs. Where are we? You remember that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those, yeah. Long ago. Long ago.
Yeah. So let's go back long ago. Talk about your journey into law enforcement. Say you started Inglewood. What was the the reason why you got into law enforcement in the first place?
It was actually while I was in college, because after I got out of the Navy, um, and I started going to attended Cal State Northridge shortly after, and actually I wanted to be a firefighter because that's kind of what I did in the Navy, and so I had really no desire. I wasn't thinking about law enforcement. I knew I was going to be like a public servant um, because I was leaning more towards the fire service. But while I was at Northridge, I actually got a campus job with the Department of Public Safety, with the campus police department, and so we kind of worked closely with them. And most of the people I worked with, they wanted to go into law enforcement, and so that's what kind of got the wheels turning a little bit. And at the time, had a young family. My wife and I, had just had our son. I think my second year in college, we had just had our son, and I was like, oh man, it's like, you know what, I got to do something. It's like, yeah, I'm going to graduate, but I need to figure out what it is I want to do. And actually, in just working around law enforcement, those guys at the campus police department, that kind of sparked my interest a little bit. And then actually one of my coworkers who actually was on your show before, Derek Jacobs, I believe he's like an assistant. Assistant chief over at Santa Monica. I worked with him. And I saw when he actually joined the Northridge Police Department, and it's like, he actually kind of inspired me as I saw he was doing well there. So it's like, you know what, I'm going to really, put forth the effort to kind of get involved in this. So I started applying and, applied to the big departments down there in LA County, LAPD, the Sheriff's Department. And then actually Inglewood just kind of came up. It's like I, kind of grew up around there as a kid, but I didn't realize they had their own police department. And it was like, oh yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, they do have they're a pretty nice city down there. So, I put in an app, and lo and behold, after a little bit of waiting, was actually hired, and I was very, very appreciative.
Okay. So you grew up in the Inglewood area?
Well, I lived there for very, very briefly as a kid. Actually, I lived primarily in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, as a when as a young kid, we lived there. I mean, very, very briefly. And I still had family, that was out there in that area. So, I would go there, quite often. But
Yeah.
it was a good experience.
Yeah. So that's back when the Lakers were there at the Forum. You remember those days?
Oh yeah, yes, yes, they were
Yeah.
still there for a little bit. Had the Kings, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was back in because I started down there in '99, and yeah, it was a very good experience. The city was very lively. Um, yeah, it was a very good experience. That I always go back to that. That's the most memorable time in my law enforcement career. Just the lessons that I learned down there.
Oh yeah, a
It,
lot of action, a lot of action in the ING for sure.
oh yeah, yeah, yes. I felt like when I lateraled over to the sheriff's department, it felt like I was like a 10-year vet, and I'd only been a cop, maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see so much, and so yeah, it was eye opening though. Uh,
Yeah.
just going down there and just the day to day action. But on the flip side of that, though, I did enjoy that department. I enjoyed working in the city. Um, it felt good because you know up and down the structure of the city from the mayor down to the chief of police through all the command staff. There were people that looked like me, and I
Yes.
was dealing with people that look like me on a day to day basis. And so it was different. It was, I mean, it wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong, because you were still the police, but it was good to um, see that, and that gave me something to aspire to, because I could see, hey, yeah, these guys are captains, they're, sergeants, and it was like, okay, it didn't seem like something that was out of my reach. So I enjoyed that, but the city, the city was what it was, and then and then I left that area. Uh, we moved out to the Inland Empire, and the commute was just doing me in. It's like
Oh,
I can't do
yeah.
this for a career. So it was
Yep.
time to make a change.
Yep. Yep. I totally see that. I can totally see that because that drive will get you. That drive will definitely get you.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was terrible some days, because before I left, I was actually on a special team, um, and my hours were all over the place. And I mean, there were times I would just be getting home, and my sergeant would be calling, say, "Hey, we had a shooting
Oh,
or whatever, and we need the whole team back." And I'm like, "I just got home, I just laid down," and then it's like, and then I'm gone, and I don't know how long I'm gonna be gone. So,
yeah.
so that started to take a toll.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. So then you lateraled over to Riverside County. Where'd you go from? Where'd you go there?
I
What'd you do there?
actually went directly to the Moreno Valley station. I thought I was
You
going to have
didn't
to
have
go
to
and
do any
work for
custody
patrol.
time, huh?
No, and that surprised me. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the unique things with Riverside County. A lot of these guys, at the time, didn't have to do any custody time. They could go straight to patrol, and particularly, your laterals. We all went straight to patrol. So yeah, I
Yeah.
went to the Moreno Valley station and was on patrol for shoot. I mean, it was literally just a few months until I was picked up by the special enforcement team gang unit. Um, and I was still on probation, and running around with these guys. I'm like,
Well, they heard you were
yeah,
from Inglewood, so they
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
tap those skills. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was a good experience. So, I worked the gang unit there for uh, yeah, close to 6 7 years until I went to the countywide regional gang task force. Um, and was there for another about 3 years as well. So yeah, I spent the good early part of my career working in the gang within the gang unit.
Okay. What's the gang activity in Riverside County? I know you said that even the DA's office has, some teams out there doing the same thing. So is it something that you guys are getting a handle of? With the gang thing out here, well, out there in Riverside County?
Um, it comes, it ebbs and flows. It's are they're still out there, absolutely, but things have changed a little bit as far
Yeah.
as your regular street level gang members. Um, so are they still there? Yes. Are they still active? Not quite as much. Again, it just kind of depends on things that are going on in the community that's just in it, or even nationally. Uh, just to see if these guys are going to start acting up and doing their gangster stuff. Because I know
Yeah.
Moreno Valley was just very. My time in Moreno Valley was very, very unique in that we had a lot of transplant gang members that come from LA or or their other outlying counties, and they'll come out there uh, and realize like, wait, I'm all by myself, and then they'll start other little cliques, or they'll make up some little gang clique or whatever, and start trying to do the stuff they were doing in LA. It's like, well, you really weren't anybody in LA. That's why you're out here. Um, and it was always funny to me to see these guys, and it's like you couldn't be all that because you're like 16 years old. So it's like
Right.
all this stuff you're saying you did, there's no way you could have done that. But
That's always been the issue, not the issue, but the thing with the Inland Empire, that being San Bernardino and Riverside County, is that a lot of those families moved out to the Inland Empire from L.A. and Orange County, mostly L.A. Because of housing and to get away from the gang violence, but they still brought they badass kids with them, right? So, like you just
yeah,
said, the kids came with their families, and they started up their same little cliques or whatever, that same behavior out in the IE, and that cycle continued.
yeah, it was pretty sad, some of it, because it was like some of the kids I used to contact, it was just really disheartening because you could tell a lot of their parents were trying, because just like you hit it right on the head. The parents moved out here, looking for a better life, but they still work in LA or Orange County or someplace, and so they're gone, most of the day. And these kids are just kind of left to their devices. And there was many times, I'd wind up, going to these kids' house, whether it's on parole, or I'm sorry, probation check, or a or to just make contact with the parents. And I look at this house; it's like a 3,000 square foot house with nice marble tile and stuff. And it's like, and you're trying to talk to these kids. It's like, well, what are you doing? You know, you have
Yes.
assets, you have people that love you and want to see you succeed, but you're doing this purposefully. So that was always my biggest frustration in working in the gang unit.
Yeah. Well, did you find that you just kind of hit the nail on the head? Is that the parents were gone, and they wanted that structure, they wanted that that brotherhood, that love, or whatever, and that they got from their homies out on the street.
Oh yeah, that used to just bug me. But the one thing that we did have for a little bit, we had a program in the city. It's called the GIFT, or Gang Intervention for Teens. We had that for a couple of years, and I think it was somewhat impactful. Whereas, like, we would work with our SROs, and try to identify those kids that were at risk. We try to we avoid the ones that were already heavily involved with gangs, but those kids that were just kind of playing with the idea and kind of sitting on the fence. And we'd go out and we'd make contact. We'd go out in the evening with the SRO, and and make contact with the parents. and provide, them with some resources like, hey, this is what we are seeing, but this is what, we have available that can assist, so they don't make that turn. I'd like to think it was somewhat successful. I mean, it's like, obviously, we've contacted, hundreds of kids in that, but I do recall, I mean, for me personally, there was a couple of kids that actually did reach back out to me after the fact. I mean, it was like years later. There's this this one young man, he was running around with this upstart gang, and and I used to contact him all the time, and we used to, and he would be treated accordingly. But when I went to his parents' home and spoke to his parents and him in a different way, that kid, he left. He stopped messing around with those kids, and I had lost contact with him for a while. But he'd actually reached out to me, and it was several years later. And, he was a student at RCC, and, he wanted to interview me, for a paper he was doing for his final assignment, before he graduated. So, that made me feel pretty proud, just to see that it worked out. And then there was another kid, kind of the same thing, kid, he was getting picked on. I mean, just the typical story, was getting, picked on. So, by the local gangsters. So he's like, well, I'm going to join this gang. Gets jumped in, and you could look at him. He had no heart for that. He wasn't built for that. And it was just very interesting. When I would contact him, and his mom, was reaching out and just looking for as much help as she could get. But again, the same thing. We used some other resources with him, and and that kid, he actually turned out all right. Another one, he called me, about a year or so after our initial contact, and, told me, say, hey, I just got a job over, I moved out of the area, moved to Central California. He's working at Target, and, became an assistant manager, and, and he was very appreciative, just for me taking that little extra time with him. So, so that was very, that made me feel good. That made it feel like, okay, what I'm doing out here is making a difference in some way.
Yeah. Yep. We can't save the world, but if we can save, at least one, that was totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
what we're in this for. Yep. So then, so you moved on, and now you're with the DA's office. Talk about, your job at the DA's office. What's interesting about it, and what keeps you going every day?
I think what makes it interesting for me is the fact that, especially in my unit, we're still kind of, involved, with the day-to-day, the crimes I believe that are more impactful, working over in the major crimes unit. It's like these prosecutions, they carry some weight, and it actually, takes a little bit of thought, and you have to have some experience and working in this arena. And I think, just being a part of the whole process of, getting that case prepared for trial, making sure that we have all those witnesses to ensure that proper, or a positive prosecution. That's what, really drives me, because, these cases, they still they mean something to me, because, you're dealing with, people, someone's, lost their life, someone's loved one is gone. So, we have to try to make that right in some ways. That void, we can't replace, what was lost, but we can help those people just, find some closure in these incidents. So, that's where I draw my satisfaction. And, and it's like, and the fact that, I have a very good working relationship with the attorneys, that are assigned over there, because I've had cases with them in the past, so they know me, and there's a level of trust. My team is incredible. The group of guys that work with me. I don't like to say for me because we were all work together.
Hmm.
They're all, self-starters. So, they just come to me and say, hey, Tony, I just need this, and this. I got you, and I'll, push it up the chain and, we'll make it happen. So, that's what makes it, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy that team aspect. I enjoy working with my guys. I enjoy, it's a joy coming into work. I don't feel like it's work. It's,
Yeah.
it's meaningful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what drives me.
Yeah. That's what's up. And I know in some jurisdictions, the DA's office has some role in investigating officer involved shootings. Is that what's going on in Riverside County, or do you delegate that to another entity?
No, we actually do have our force investigation detail. We have a group of investigators that are assigned to that, and they actually work alongside with the Riverside Sheriff's Department. We have a couple of guys from the Sheriff's Department. Then also, I believe there's a CHP officer that's on the team now as well. So our unit is actually, or that unit is actually doing very well, doing some really good work, and in investigating those officer involved shootings, and actually in major uses of force. They do a very good job of looking into those and painting a clear picture of what happened.
Yeah. Now, did that come about because of the SB2 mandates, or was that something that was already in the works before?
It was already in works because actually before I left the sheriff's department, I was actually on that team with the sheriff's department
Okay.
on the very first or the start of the FID unit, where it was just the sheriff's office that was involved. And but yeah, so we just started working out those kinks, and then the DA's office was already preparing to come on board with it, and then so once we got those personnel incorporated, um, it was a little bumpy at first, but it was like, okay, now it's all smoothed out, and because it was just a matter of like, okay, each side didn't really know each other. The sheriff's
Yeah.
department, we were over there. It's like, hey, this is what we do. We do this all the time. This is part of our duties in the homicide unit. So, I mean, we really just had it down to a science where we're able to just, take care of those. So it was just that uneasiness in bringing in, people, from outside, when the reality is, most of the investigators in the DA's office, also worked in a homicide unit, in their previous agency. So, you're not really losing anything at all. You're just getting
Right.
just a different insight. So it was some growing pains, but it's all worked out, and they all work very well together.
Yeah. Does Cal DOJ have any say in what's going on as well?
Yeah, well, yeah, if they'll come in, obviously on those incidents where if it was deemed that the deceased was unarmed, then DOJ, they'll come in, they'll take over the investigation at that point.
Okay.
So so that I've seen that happen a couple of times. Um, it happens very, very rarely, but it does happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Because I won't say that we're not infallible in this line of work. Sometimes issues are had, and it takes people in those units to make sure that everything's on the up and up, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because we all want the same thing.
Yep.
Nobody wants to. We just want. We just gatherers of the facts. That's
Gatherers of the
it.
facts. Yep.
And you gather the facts and just present the case as it is. Not trying to make it sway one way or the other. It's like, these are the facts. This is what we have to work with. And just present it to those that to make those final decisions. So it can be tough sometimes, but it's necessary though.
Yeah, it is. It is. And on the flip side, there's a public defender's office. Do they have investigators too?
They do. I've never really dealt with them at all because because they're not sworn. I don't believe.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't. I know they have investigators, but what their role is, I don't know. I remember, just working in the sheriff's department. Every once in a while, I get a call, from, defense investigator. I'm like, oh, I'm not talking to you, So,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it
Interestingly
was.
enough, I know a couple of retired guys that went over to the PDA's office and as investigators, and oh well, okay, you switched over to the dark side. I won't say it's the dark side because both sides are needed in our system of justice. So hey, everyone talks crap about the public defenders or the defense attorneys until you need one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I know a few of the defense attorneys that actually, that I as long I treat them fairly,
Yeah.
and I respect what they do. Um, and it's like, yeah, if I were in trouble, it's like, yeah, I'd want somebody to advocate, vigorously for me as well.
Yes.
So, I get it. So I think, I've always had a pretty decent relationship, with defense attorneys, because I always was able to understand, it's like, okay, they have a job to do, and, there might be some theatrics in court, and
Yeah.
not just just try not to take it
Yeah.
personal and just
Yeah.
answer the question and
Yep. Yep.
just stay unfazed. So
Well, people will be surprised. It's not like the movies where they were totally adversarial and they want to slit each other's throats. I mean, you go sit in the court and you'll see the PDAs and the ADAs, and they're just talking and joking amongst each other. And then when the lights come on, when their case is called, they're respectful and they present their sides, and when the case is closed or continue to another night, hey, all right, I see you want to go to lunch or whatever. Yeah, next. So
yeah,
yeah. Yep.
yeah, that's just the nature of the business. So
Yep.
it's
Exactly.
it is yeah. It took me a little while to figure that out, and like, oh, everybody knows each other here. It's
Yep.
like, okay, it's just work. So
Is
yeah.
just work. Yep. Yep. And then you did mention that earlier in your life that when you started a young family, so you got some kids in the works right there. Does any of them, I don't know if it's just one or more, do any of them want to follow in dad's footsteps and get into law enforcement?
Oh no, yeah, I have
Oh no.
two. Yeah, yeah, no. My kids are. I got two kids. I got a son and daughter. Actually, they're both adults and well into their career paths. It was always funny to me. My kids, their friends were always more interested in what I do
Mm,
for a living than my own kids. You know, they didn't care that I was, a police officer or a deputy sheriff. They had, I was his dad, and I
right.
and I, and I and I think that just kind of comes down to just the way me and my wife just raised them, because my wife, I mean, she has been my rock. She is solid. I will sing her praises all day long because she was there from day one. Um,
Smart, smart,
you
smart
know,
man.
yes, yes, and it's I tell her all the time now. It's like like, girl, we've been in this too long. Don't nobody want me. Don't nobody want you. So we're stuck together. you know, but but
I
she's
take that back when I say smart man. Yeah. When you say don't
no,
nobody
no,
want her, come on now.
no. So she's
Yeah, I
she
know
is
what
my
you mean.
rock though. No, she is my rock though. She's been there. She's run this household, and while pursuing her own career, and I never had to worry about anything. It was just always, I got you. Don't worry about it. And I got the kids, and and I think that made them very, just very stable. So
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. I
yeah.
really
So
appreciate that about the kids.
So if not the kids want to follow in your footsteps, I know you did talk about, mentoring some of these troubled youths or any youth in your career. Any of them, want to follow in the footsteps and get into law enforcement, based on some of your mentorship.
Um, Not kids that I've contacted at work, but there have been just a couple kids just in the communities, because I would go and speak at the high schools and or the middle schools from time to time. And I've heard there was a couple of kids that were thinking about it. If have they done it, I don't know. But there were some people that were interested in, or at the very least, moved on to some form of higher education. So we'll see.
I know what you did. At the beginning of this interview, you said that you were thinking about being a firefighter. That's what you probably told him. Yeah, don't do this. Go be a firefighter.
I did. I would. I did. Yeah, you got me. You got me. Yeah, I probably did tell a couple people that.
Yeah. So you think you made the right choice?
As I look back on my years, absolutely. I wouldn't trade anything that I've done career wise. I wouldn't trade anything. I think I went about it the right way. Always serve with integrity, treat people properly, treat people accordingly, and treat people how I would want to be treated, and and just really created a good name for myself in this job. So I am appreciative, and no, I wouldn't change anything. I would do this again in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. Yep. And we've all got the coolest stories too. I can't imagine many firefighting stories. Hey, we rode up, we got this call, and there was this fire, and we put water on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I am jealous. Our in my agency, our department is connected to one of the fire stations. So, sometimes, I walk by them, going to the locker room, and they're grilling up, and, they got stuff on the grill, and it's like, come on now. You guys get paid for this? Come on.
Yeah, you get paid, and work out, and, just clean up clean up the house. That's it. So,
it's all good. I will give them their props. Most of their calls are medical, assist calls, but when they do work, like, when these wildfires break out in the summer here in Southern California.
Oh yeah,
they work because I couldn't do that. It's already 115 out here in the IE, and then they gotta go into a fire in these hot apparatus suits, and I give them their props for that. But that's 1 or 2 times a year. So
that's a whole different animal. But but no, I enjoy where I landed. This is where I think I was supposed to be, and and I have no regrets at all. I would, like I said, I would do it again in a heartbeat. My path has been good. I've gotten everything I wanted, so I'm good.
There you go. So, as an African American male in this profession, what has been your experience coming up? You said you've gotten everything that you've wanted out of this profession. Working with Inglewood, working with the Riverside County Sheriffs, and now working with the Riverside DA's office. Are there many that look like you at the DA's office? And what about in positions of leadership?
Well, just going through, just from my career, because I'd already started out, when I started with Inglewood, again, that was that agency, it's like, yes, I was able to see a lot of folks that look like me. And so that was a little bit easier in that sense. The work was still challenging, but it was refreshing though to see people in leadership there, and it wasn't uncommon. Now, but once I got to the sheriff's department, it was a little bit different in that I didn't see a lot, and actually at the time I was with the sheriff's department, the majority of the African American officers or deputies, were pretty much either at the Moreno Valley Station or Harupa Station, and you go beyond that, you didn't see too many folks that look like me. So that was a little. that was a little bit different for me. I wasn't used to that, but then again, this is a that was a very big agency. Um, so I really only knew the people at my station at the time.
Right.
So yeah, so that was a little strange. And then when I actually did promote to a investigator, then that group of people got even smaller. It was like, man, it's like, I'd go in an office and it's like, it's just me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and or I might know, another investigator, investigator, a black investigator, a couple of stations down, and we might see each other every so often. So it was different. I mean, was I treated any differently? No. I've always been treated fairly, and the work is the work. But just personally, you feel that you notice that, and so yeah, it's just different, and it's kind of once I got to the DA's office, it's because it's so small. Um, it's like, yeah, we have a handful of African Americans here, and I think I mean, for the size that we are, it's like, yeah, we're doing okay. But again, it's just like I'm sure it's like
The percentage is a little
yeah,
larger, right?
it's pretty good, but again, it's just like I'm sure like at your agency, if the further up you go, the less folks that look like you start to see. And
Yeah.
so, it feels a little lonely sometimes in that respect, because it's like, oh man, it's like you just kind of wish that, hey, would more of us, just, take the test. Now, granted, at the DA's office, a lot of these folks are mid-career or double dipping. They're not interested in doing that because they were already, in supervisory roles in their previous agency. So, they're not
Right.
looking for that. But yeah, so it's a little bit different. But all in all, though, I was always treated well, and and shown my proper respect, and in my opinion, truly matters. So but it's just personally, it's like it's one of those things you do notice, when
You
you're the
do
only
notice.
one in the room,
You
you
do notice.
know.
And hopefully, platforms like this one here, we get to show, younger aspiring officers out there that, you can do this, and you're not alone. And we need more people that look like you, look like us. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
Because I mean, it's a great career. Um, it's obviously it's changing. It's changed a lot since I've started. So I'm sure it's changed a lot since you started. So yeah, and it's just going to continue to evolve, and you have to be able to roll with it. So
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
just see what we got. So
Yep. So as part of a career that's got many facets to it, talk about a case, whether it be at Inglewood or the sheriff's department or with the DA's office, that was tough to deal with. Something that you saw that when you speak or someone asks you questions like this, you always look back at that one and you say, wow, that case was tough.
ooh, I've had a lot of tough cases. I mean that really
Well, not
left
necessarily
it.
tough to investigate, but just children
Yeah,
involved, or something heinous or something like that.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, just cases of that nature. Um, Man, I remember this one case I had in when I was in the homicide unit, and this poor man, uh, he was shot, by this group of young gang members because they were looking for someone else, and he was mistaken. This man got shot and in his uh, in his home. And mind you, I didn't get the case until, man, it was probably about 3 or 4 days later because the gentleman was still on life support. But once it was determined he wasn't going to make it, that's when it came over to the homicide unit. And so I was already behind the eight ball and had no real suspects, no anything. And it was tough, trying to investigate it and then, but constantly taking those phone calls from the family, like daily, it's like, what's the status? Why aren't these people arrested? And it's like, I don't know who it is, but it took a long time to develop the suspect info, and and then but once I was able to get, it was actually three people, was able to get them into custody, and and it was just really it really impacted me because this man he didn't deserve that. And then also, but then on the other side of it, all the suspects, all the guys that I arrested, the three young men that I arrested, I mean, they were like very, very young. And, I was like, man, this is just, I just sat there and, it's just like, this is just a waste. It's like, yeah,
yes.
I was happy. I got him in the custody. I was happy. Was able to, me and my team was able to provide some level of closure for the family. But, after the trial, it's like, I didn't feel like elated, it's like, yes, I got, it was like, it was still, I was very sad, cause like these guys don't realize, I don't think it really hit them. It's like, you're going to be in here for the rest of your life. So, that really, that was the one that really, really sticks with me. Cause it's like, man, it's like, yeah, you have to pay for what you did, but it's just a waste on all ends of it. Yep. So yeah, that was very difficult for me.
Yep. There were 4 lives wasted, those 3, and of course the victim, and, and everybody's lives on the periphery, right?
Exactly. And it was just, and then, you have a lot of, uncooperative witnesses, people didn't want to talk, but even though they had information, and, it was just made it very, very difficult. And it was just going through that trial. It was, just sitting in there as the IO, it's like, man, this is terrible, and
yeah.
Because I'm looking at these defendants, and again, what they did was horrible. But it's like, man, it's like, what? This guy is like the same age as my son,
Wow.
And that just so that really
that's what brought it home for you,
yeah, that really kind of messed me up, And it's like, man, it's like just you got choices in life. And obviously, all of them, they made the wrong choices. So that just really messed me up.
Yeah. I mean, you praised your wife, and you had a big hand in that, in raising your kids upright, and maybe these gentlemen didn't have that, but you did say it right there. We make choices regardless of what kind of situation you were brought up in. You can still make the choice to do right or do wrong.
Absolutely. And it was just terrible. And hopefully, at some point, they'll get their minds somewhat right and be able to wrap their minds around the gravity of what occurred. That's the only thing I could hope for.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the flip side of that, let's talk about something really, really rewarding that sparked you and made put a smile on your face. It's something that you're really proud of, that you had a part of.
Well, yeah, kind of like like those 2 young men I spoke about, were
yes,
they kind of turned their lives around. That really made me feel good. And just made me feel like, okay, yeah, what you're doing is making some kind of difference in somebody's life. But also, let's see, I typically will make myself available to, to just speak at schools and just to speak to the kids. Um, that usually it is very fulfilling to me. Or just to do a community presentation. That's usually very, very fulfilling for me. In that people get to see just law enforcement in a different light by taking on those roles. Um, so yeah, I truly enjoy doing that. But the most satisfying thing though for me that always comes to mind is those two young men that really really changed their lives around. I mean, they were going down that path, and was able to I mean, just literally like the village. Not just me, because there was my partners, everybody. We all jumped in and make sure, like, no, you're not going to go down that path, because you already kind of hit it on the head as well. With it's like, yeah, a lot of these kids don't have a father figure or anything in their life.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of stepped into that role a little bit, and had to show that kind of tough love, and show them the way a little bit, so they can get their mind right. So yeah, so that always makes me feel very, very proud to have been a part of that.
There you go. There you go. Love to hear that. Love to hear it. Yeah, we don't necessarily get into this job for the recognition, but it's nice to see it here.
Oh yeah, yeah, a little bit. It's like, yeah, yeah, because I'm pretty humble, pretty quiet. Well, in some ways, I'm pretty quiet. My
In
team
some
will tell you,
ways.
it's like, not. Yeah, no, my team will tell you, it's like, I'm just loud and all that. But for the most part, though, I'm pretty reserved, and he's like, hey, I just go out and do my thing, and just leave it at that. I don't need any praise or anything of that nature.
There you go.
So yeah,
Yep.
I enjoy it.
Cool. Cool. All right, sir. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Hey, how about some words of wisdom really quick for any aspiring investigator or peace officer before we get you out of here?
Oh, well, hey, man, I truly do appreciate you having me on. I've been seeing your podcast a few times. I've been following you for a little bit, and I was like, oh man, all right, you're doing it the right way. But I think any words that I would have for anyone aspiring to get into this field is, one, just always stay true to yourself. Get into it for the right reasons, and but also, control those. Take care of those things that are in your control, such as your education, because law enforcement is changing, and I think that's important, for you to have some type of secondary education, and once you get in here, just go in there and learn as much as you can. Uh, don't necessarily go in looking to promote right away. Learn the job first. And keep yourself humble. Do those things that are necessary to become more proficient in the job. But also, take on those responsibilities or take on those assignments that aren't necessarily attractive to you right away. Seek those opportunities out. And that way it'll just make you a little bit more well-rounded for later on when you do decide to promote, and then that you'll be much more prepared to address anything that comes up. So that would be my suggestion to anybody coming in. But just come in with an open mind, be ready to learn, and just do the work.
Just do the work. Can't couldn't have said it any better myself. There you go. All right. All right, sir. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on again and sharing your story. This is real good information, and I hope everybody else out there thought so as well. Hey, man, the Riverside County DA's office, that's a hidden gem, right?
Oh yeah, it is. It is a hidden gem. I mean, it was a great It was a great move for me, great move for my family. So yeah, I truly enjoyed my time. But unfortunately, my time is going to be coming to an end in about a month because I'm retiring.
What?
So, yes,
You
sir, I'm
calling it? You
retiring.
pulling the plug?
Yeah, I actually, yeah, because I got a opportunity. Um, just I'm still going to be working, but it's like I got an opportunity. I'm going to be working with the sheriff's union now, um, as a labor rep. So it's like, okay, yeah, it's time. It's time for me to get out of the way. Like I said before, the bureau's getting a lot younger, and I've gotten everything I want out of law enforcement. And it's like, you know what, go out on top. Don't have any crushing debt. I'm not working off a divorce or anything. So you know, I've won.
Unlike many
So
cops. Unlike many cops.
yes, exactly. So it's like, I've won. So it's like, it's time to move on, get out of the
Wow.
way for the next generation and, make
That's what's
room for
up,
those.
man. Congratulations. Congratulations. You
Thanks,
you
sir.
made it. You made it to the end. Let's give you another round of applause there. You made it to the finish line. Appreciate it. That's what we all aspire to do. I am looking at another year myself, and then I'm going to be
There you
calling it.
go.
So that's what I'm talking about. What are you going to be doing as a rep? You going to be working full time as well too, or you going to kind of
Yeah,
pare it
yeah.
down and do part time?
No, it's a full-time position. But,
Okay.
it just looked like, it's like, hey, it's like, as opposed to just getting out of law enforcement totally and just cutting it off. It's like, nah, all right, I'm going to ease on out. I'm going to go way over in the shallow end. I'm going to go sit up on the steps in the pool and then ease my way out. But but what I'll be doing, it's like, I'll still, obviously, I'll be representing the membership, for like the lower level, internal affairs investigation, but going in as a representative for them. But then also, responding to the officer involved shooting or major uses of force, just kind of to guide those deputies to okay, what's going to be occurring in the coming days and months. So I look forward to it. I know a couple of people that work over there already.
Yeah, you got a lot of experience that I'm sure that'll be beneficial to all those people over there at the union. So good luck to you.
Yeah. Thank you. I still just want to be of service in some way for a little bit longer, and just do it different. So I'm looking forward to it.
Eventually, brother, man, you got to kick up your feet and go enjoy a Mai Tai on the beach somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. But yeah, no, I still got it. I'm still pretty young now, so I'll be all right for a little bit.
No, we got to stay busy. We got to stay busy, but because that's one thing about retirement. If you don't, that's what happens with a lot of people that retire. Is that 5 years after they're gone because they they're first of all their life was wrapped up in whatever this is in our profession as law enforcement, but they don't have anything after that. And
exactly.
all their worth was in this profession. And you got other things in life, man. You got a lot to live for. You got family, you got your friends, and some hobbies, and you got to stay busy.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're doing. All right.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Hey man, you take care and enjoy your Monday, your holiday Monday.
All right, you as well, man. Appreciate it. Again, thanks for having me on.
You got it, brother. You take care, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, take care, bro.
Hey, chalk up another great interview for the Black and Blue podcast. I want to thank Riverside County, California Supervising District Attorney's Investigator Anthony Johnson. Man, that was a mouthful for dropping by and sharing this story with us. If you guys appreciated our conversation, why don't you let me know by leaving a comment down below. And don't forget to like and share this interview with your folks. I'll be back before you know it with another story from a minority in law enforcement. But till then, y'all know the phrase that pays. Stay black and blue. I'll holler at you. Peace.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.